Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Ms. Navida Sheikh from MCGM virtual class. Welcomes all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning the next part of the chapter, nutrition in living things. Now, previously we have learned about nutrition in plants and why nutrition is important. And in today's class, we'll be learning the further part of the chapter. So let's get started. Now we have learned that nutrients are very important for our various activities that we do throughout the day, and you get it from the food that you eat. They are supplied to the various part of the body through blood. The food that you consume does not mix with blood as it is. It needs to get converted. As if you're eating omelette or if you're eating bread, it doesn't directly go into your blood. It gets digested, it gets converted into simple substances, and then it goes into your blood, which then reaches to each and every part of the cell. So nutrition in animals involves various steps from ingestion to egestion. So let's have a look at it. Now, as we learned that constituents of food are very important. That means whatever you eat, first it gets digested in your body and then it gets absorbed into your blood. Now what is getting absorbed? That is the constituents of food, means the things which are present in your food, like the carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. So these are the main constituents of food. Now, when I talk about nutrition in animals, it is a very complex system which involves various steps. The very first step is you take in food, that is ingestion, and it goes into your food pipe. Now from the mouth, the food goes into the esophagus, that is the food pipe, and from the esophagus it goes into the stomach where the food is broken down into much simpler substances, which after that goes into the small intestine and then into the large intestine, and from the large intestine whatever waste is remaining, it comes out through the anus, and whatever nutrients are absorbed, it goes into the blood. So these are the steps involved in the nutrition, that is ingestion, that is you are eating food, then digestion, then absorption. Absorption means whatever food you have eaten, and from the food whatever constituents of food were there, it gets absorbed into your blood, and then whatever waste was that left in your system is then goes out through the process called as egestion. Alright, so these are the few steps involved in nutrition in animals. So as we have learned that nutrition is extremely important in all the animals that are there. So let's study about a few more of nutrition in animals. Let us see how and what do they eat and what is that particular type of nutrition called as. Now, first and foremost, we'll be learning about this organism. When you look at this organism, at once you come to know that this is amoeba. Now, when we talk about amoeba, the type of nutrition is involved is called as holozoic nutrition. Now, what is the meaning of holozoic nutrition? Now, as we know, it is a unicellular organism, and amoeba does not have any specialized organs like the hands and the mouth or the stomach, large intestine, anus, etc. It doesn't have all this. It is a unicellular animal. It can take in food through any part of the surface of its unicellular body. मतलब कोई भी part की तरफ जहाँ पर भी उसे organism मिलता है खाने के लिए, वो वहाँ से उसे अपने अंदर ले सकता है. It surrounds the food particle from all sides to take it into the cell. After that, it digests the food with the help of different enzymes which is already present in its body, and then the undigested food is left behind as the amoeba moves further with the help of pseudopodia. In unicellular animals like amoeba, euglena, paramecium, etc., all the steps of nutrition occur within one cell, that is within the unicellular body. So here you can see the first picture, you see there is amoeba, and then with the help of pseudopodia, means false feet, they absorb whatever nutrient is available to them, whatever organism was there. They make a particular shape and then they tend to take it inside their body. Okay, then they release certain enzymes which help them to digest that organism, and after they have absorbed all the nutrients from it, they leave it behind and they move further. So it is a very simple process. Let's have a look at actually how it happens. Now this is how amoeba eats to paramecia. Here you can see how the amoeba is taking in two paramecium with the help of pseudopodia, and now you will see that how it has locked both the paramecium inside its body. And now it has released certain enzymes which are helping it to digest the two paramecium cells. You can see eventually they are dying and they are getting digested into its body. So this is how digestion in amoeba takes place. Now there are certain insects like the butterflies, or you can see a honeybee. They have a special organ in their body which helps them to suck food with a tube-like proboscis. Mosquitoes also and bedbugs use a needle-like mouth part to pierce and a tube-like mouth part to suck blood or other fluids from the body. So let's have a look at how these butterflies suck the nectar from the fruits or the flowers that are there with the help of the proboscis. Now here you can see how this butterfly is sitting on to an orange. Now they are trying, they have this, you can see this needle-like structure which is which with which they are trying to suck in the juice from the orange that is there. Now this is called as the proboscis. Now see, they have put it in to the orange and they are sucking the juice from it. So I hope you have, it is now clear to you what is a proboscis and how they suck in the fluid from the flowers or the fruits. Let's move on to the very interesting part about how animals take in food and what type of food do they eat. Now there are certain animals like the horse. Here you can see what are they eating? They are eating grass. We do not see horses eat other animals, right? We just have seen horses eating hay or grasses around them. Similar to that, you can see a giraffe eating tree leaves or grass. It doesn't eat grass, but it eats leaves or the parts of a plant. Here you can see a rabbit also chewing the grass that is available on the ground surface. Now depending upon the size of the animal, there are certain animals which are very tall like the giraffe. They cannot bend down and eat grass, but they are eating leaves. And they eat only leaves, they do not eat any other animals. So such animals which do not eat any other organism apart from plants, means animals which eat only plants to get their nutrition, are called as herbivores. So herbivores use plants directly as their food. Example are grazing animals. Here you can see there are some animals which eat only fruits, are called as fruit eaters or frugivores. Some eat only seeds, they are called granivores. Here we move on to the next type of animals which eat only other animals. Now there are some animals which feed on to living animals only and not plants, and they get their nutrients from other animals only. Such animals are called as carnivores. Animals that depend on other animals for their food are called carnivores. Carnivores are indirectly dependent on plants for food because see, your zebra or deer or any other living animal, for example, goat or buffalo, I'm just giving an example, they all eat plants. Okay? So they are dependent indirectly, they are dependent on plants only. Examples are animals that feed on herbivores are called predators, and animals that feed on insects are called as insectivores. Here you can see there is a insectivore, that is a frog. Now frog takes in insects only, it eats insect. So such kind of animal is called as insectivorous animals. Now there are some animals like here you can see a bear eating a pumpkin, and at the same time you can see a bear catching the fish and eating it. Means it is eating plant also, and it is eating an animal also. So we'll see one more example. We have seen we also eat leafy vegetables. We also eat non-vegetarian food. That means we're eating other animals as well. So such animals which feed on both, that is plants and animals both, are called as omnivores. So animals that obtain their food from both plants and animals are called omnivores. Examples are monkey, chimpanzees, human, etc. Now there are a few animals which live on the dead bodies of animals. ठीक है, इन लोगों को जो न्यूट्रिशन मिलता है वो जो रिमेनिंग एनिमल बच जाता है कार्निवोर्स के खाने के बाद, वो लोग वो चीज को वो पार्ट ऑफ द एनिमल को खाते हैं. So such animals are called as scavengers. Scavengers obtain their food from dead bodies of animals. For example, vulture, crow, hyena, etc. You must have seen crow in your vicinity eating dead rats or any dead item or things which are decaying. They eat that very easily. So these are nothing but scavengers, because scavengers are also very important. अगर scavengers नहीं रहेंगे तो ये dead और dead bodies को कौन खाएगा, और it will create a chaos and it will create more diseases. It will give rise to more diseases. So scavengers also very important. Now let's move on to the next part, that is this fly that you see. The normal house fly in our house, they tend to sit on anything like the garbage also, they get nutrition from that as well. On the other hand, you can see a spider trying to eat. It doesn't eat a live insect. You must have always seen that they build a web around them, around the insect that they're supposed to eat, and after a few days they tend to eat it, because they are getting the nutrition from the juices which are being released from the dead organism. So these insects, which are unicellular animals, obtain the nutrients by absorbing the liquid organic material from the dead bodies of other animals or from the environment. This is saprozoic nutrition. Example is houseflies, ants, spiders, etc. So this type of nutrition is called as saprozoic nutrition. This is a new name, so remember this. Whenever you see a housefly roaming around near the garbage or near any dirt, you will normally find flies moving around it. What are they doing? They are getting all the dead and decaying things tend to release substances. Okay, they release juices, and these housefly or the spiders or the ants, they tend to absorb that juices and get nutrition from that. The next one is a very interesting one, because we have seen them, we have felt them, and we know the pain of their bite and how the itching occurs after that. So these animals are called as parasitic animals. The animals which depend on other animals for food, means they are harming other animals in order to get food. They can obtain the food only from animals on whom they are dependent. Means a mosquito or a leech or a tick जो हमारे सर में जो बाल में जू मिलती है. These are all organisms, I would say, which are dependent on us or other animals to get nutrients from their body. वो हमारा खून अब्जॉर्ब करते हैं और हमारे ब्लड से उन्हें न्यूट्रिएंट्स मिलते हैं. ठीक है, so they are harming us, they are living on our body, and then they are harming us to get nutrition. So such type of animals are called as parasitic animals. Let's have further. Now there are internal parasites also, and there are external parasites as well in our body. There are some worms which are inside our body, like the tapeworm or the roundworm, whipworm. I'll show you all how these worms are actually harming and how they are removed. Whereas there are external parasites also like fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, bed bugs, etc. जो बाहर रहते हैं हमारी बॉडी के ऊपर रहते हैं और हमें नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं. There are some parasites which are living inside our body और वो हम लोगों को नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं and they're getting nutrients from it. So let's have a look. These are two organisms which you have seen and you know that how they bite and the sensation of it, and after that how you feel. So this is a bed bug, खटमल, और एक mosquito है जो absorb करते हैं हमारा blood. They get nutrients from our blood or other animals' blood. So these are harming us and they're living because of us. So they are parasitic animals which are living outside our body. They're getting it, these things, the nutrition, they're getting it from our outer part of the body. ये हम लोग के body के अंदर नहीं रहते. So some animals are which live on the body surface of other animals to obtain their food by sucking their blood are called as ectoparasitic nutrition. So this kind of nutrition in bed bugs or mosquitoes or ticks, they are on the outer surface of your body. So this type of nutrition is called as ectoparasitic nutrition. And such animals are called as ectoparasites, means bahar rehne wale. For example, louse, bedbugs, ticks, etc. Now there is an animal, there are few animals which live inside our body. बोलते हैं ना बच्चों को कि मीठा मत खाओ, worms होंगे पेट में, and that is true. So there are certain worms. You see, this is a worm which is being removed from the feet of a person. I can imagine how painful that would be and how much nutrients it might be absorbing. So this kind of animal which is living inside the body of another animal is called as endoparasite. ठीक है, और ये इस type of nutrition को कहते हैं endoparasitic nutrition. I hope this much is clear to you all. So with this, we end our session here. I hope the types of nutrition in animals is quite clear to you all. What is the meaning of herbivorous animal? What are carnivorous animal? What are omnivorous animals? And what is the type of saprozoic nutrition? And we've also learned about holozoic nutrition in animals. So I hope with this part of the chapter is clear to you all. In the next coming period, we'll be learning something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.
If you like our video, please subscribe to our channel and do not forget to hit the like button.
I hope this session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.